There is no let-up in the debate over fuel prices and why the price can and should actually go down to $10. Good evening. This is the CTV Evening News. I am Valentine Dantes in for Lisa Joseph. As expected, the Prime Minister's address over the weekend poured fuel over the debate on the system being used to calculate gas prices at the pump. The opposition United Workers' Party called a press conference today to amplify its call for openness, a review of the 3-month pass-through mechanism, and ultimately a reduction in the price of gas. Party leader Alan Chastanet is convinced the current system of calculation used by government results in surplus revenue. He says this is clear from a Labour Party press release explaining how the pass-through mechanism works. Now he wants to know who that revenue goes to.
According to their press release, the dealers of St. Lucia are the ones who benefited from that surplus monies. The second thing is that they have put on a service charge of 5%. And in their own numbers, they've shown that they put in 54 cents a gallon was collected under the last quarter. But if the actual price was $8.66, and we know that the service charge on $8.66 is 43 cents, there's now an extra 12 cents per gallon that we don't know where that money is gone. So again, we're asking the government to explain, one, the surplus revenues that were generated in the last quarter. Where did that money go to?
Mr. Chastanet is also calling for the price of oil to be reviewed monthly instead of the current 3-month cycle introduced by the Labour government.
Every single person that has spoken on this issue, Mr. Jean-Marie, Mr. Richard Peterkin, and even Mr. Saint-Gis last night, have all admitted to one thing, that if in fact we had a 1-month pass-through mechanism, the people of St. Lucia would be benefiting substantially more at the price of the pump. Everyone has admitted that. So we want to know from the government, given the evidence that's on the ground, why would they continue to implement a 3-month mechanism? We welcome the potential by the Prime Minister in his annual statement that, and we agree with him, there's nothing that regulates the requirement for government to have a 3-month pass-through mechanism. That is a discretionary decision. Similarly, there's nothing that regulates the CIF price that they're using. That is a discretionary decision. And we heard him say that there's nothing that precludes the government at any time to review that system and to make a change immediately. Now, here is the difficulty that we are having. And if I can put it in very simple layman terms. If in fact the government has reduced the excise tax from $3 to $2.50, which we would all agree would be to the detriment of the government, right? And that we're paying the highest prices at the pump, which is to the detriment of the people. Yet, in Grenada, we heard the same Mr. Saint-Gis say that they have a pure pass-through mechanism on a 30-day period in which the government gets $3, which is 50 cents more than what the government presently gets. And similarly, the price at the pump is $10.90, which means that the people also benefit. So if you have a mechanism in which there is a win-win situation, the government is getting $3, which is 50 cents more than they're presently getting, and the people and the businesses of this country are benefiting from a $10.90 gas price per gallon, why would we not move to that system immediately?
The UWP leader is now suggesting that the price of imported oil landed here recently is even lower, and these benefits should be passed on a lot quicker to St. Lucian consumers.
In the month of December, fuel was imported into St. Lucia at a price of $6.70 CIF. That was the real price. And that a shipment has also arrived this week in St. Lucia And my understanding, and I wait to confirm that amount, so I'm saying to you, I'm waiting to confirm that amount, is $5.80. But that's the same $5.80 that Grenada is using as their CIF price. So I believe that that number is correct. So if you know that the price in December went to $6.70, the price in January is around $5.80. And the decision to choose a CIF price is the discretion of Cabinet. Why would Cabinet not have put in a lower rate? By virtue of the fact that Cabinet chose to put $8.66, confirms the statements that the United Workers' Party has been making all along, that the system is being manipulated in order for government to benefit from two taxes. One is the excise tax of $2.50, and secondly, from what we call a surplus tax. Because if that money is not going to the people of St. Lucia, then it is a tax to the people of St. Lucia. And so therefore, whether government is collecting it themselves, or if government is continuing to maintain a mechanism to allow a third party to benefit this kind of money, because our estimates are if they're importing 2 million gallons of gas a month at $2 plus a gallon, you can see that it's in excess of $11 million. We are not talking about chicken feed here. So why would the government of St. Lucia insist on maintaining a system to allow a third party to benefit at the expense of both the government, who've reduced the excise tax from $3 to $2.50, and the people of St. Lucia who are having to pay for it at the pump?
Also at the UWP press conference was a Member of Parliament for Castries South East, Guy Joseph. He too wanted some clarity on what was the difference between the landed cost and the CIF cost insurance freight mentioned in an explanation by a senior public servant.
I am a bit taken aback that they are playing around with CIF and landed cost. Now, I don't propose to be any expert in the affairs of customs, but I know that over the years I have ordered enough things into St. Lucia that I understand CIF means cost, insurance, and freight, which is equivalent to landed cost of any commodity on the island. So I want maybe the media should ask customs or ask the government to explain the difference between CIF and landed cost. Because on the proposal they have there, they have the CIF as 1078 and they have the landed cost at 1380. So maybe their landed cost means something different from what I know landed cost means. Now, once you begin to get into these shady areas, you know some information is being withheld, somebody is not coming clean, and somebody is not saying what they ought to say. One of the questions put to Mr. Saint-Just last night was, why are the other countries, what is the CIF in the other countries compared to St. Lucia? And he skirted around it and eventually said that the tax system in these countries are different.
Mr. Joseph says his understanding is that there is a $2 difference in the CIF price of $10.78 per gallon of gas, and what he believes is the actual price of $8.66.
Because if I use the CIF price of $10.78, as the political leader indicated, and the actual price, because that's a guesstimate or an estimate, so they guessed the price or they estimated the price at $10.78. The actual price came up at about $8.66 according to their figures. So the difference for the past quarter of $2 plus, where did this money go to? Who received it? I want to know whether Sol and Rubis kept this money. I want to know whether the government received the check for the difference. Or did this money disappear or vaporize as gas would if you leave it in the open? Because somebody is not telling us the difference. Now, government needs to be clear with the people of St. Lucia.
Economist Dr. Claudius Priville, also a member of the United Workers' Party, says his concern is about the economic well-being of the country. He says government is missing an opportunity to bring relief to St. Lucians and to stimulate the economy.
It's an issue right now because based on conservative calculations, the deadweight loss in a 3-month period is about $10 to $12 million. By which I mean the amount of extra money you and I pay at the pump for our fuel, right? Or when you sum up all of the St. Lucians who do that, that extra money we spend on fuel, which should not be spent, instead should be going to other productive activities in the economy, right? Is about $10 to $12 million for every three months, every quarter. By the time you apply a multiplier effect to that, because you know that every dollar you spend is not the end of the dollar. The dollar might go around 2 or 3 times. So if you have a multiplier of 2 or 2.5 or 3, you're looking at between 20 and $30 million per month in money, additional spending in the economy on activities other than fuel. So it's a way for government to actually, and ironically, I would say the Prime Minister is foregoing a golden opportunity to provide a so-called stimulus to the local economy by simply removing this economic distortion and allowing the more efficient allocation of resources throughout the economy.
Dr. Priville says it is within the power of government to change the current configuration of the pass-through mechanism and supports a monthly review. He says government can take that decision almost immediately.